This free step-by-step video comes to you directly from Haynes, creators of the world's best repair manuals. Fix your car or truck the right way with our accurate and reliable information at your side. You can complete more than 200 jobs on this vehicle when you purchase the complete online manual at Haynes.com.
Drive axle replacement. Apply the handbrake. Chock the rear wheels to prevent the vehicle from rolling. Remove the wheel trim cover. Loosen the front wheel lug nuts, then raise the front of the car and support it on jack stands. Remove the appropriate front wheel. Remove the hub nut cotter pin and discard it. Discard the old cotter pin, you'll need a new one for reassembly. Remove the drive axle hub nut lock and spring washer. Loosen and remove the drive axle hub nut with a large socket and breaker bar. To prevent the hub from turning while you're loosening the drive axle hub nut, wedge a pry bar between two of the reel studs. Loosen the nut on the tie rod end stud a few turns. If the stud turns, counterhold it with a wrench. Disconnect the tie rod from the steering knuckle arm with a puller. Remove the nut and detach the tie rod end. Note how the heat shield is installed. If equipped with anti-lock brakes, unclip the front wheel speed sensor harness and move it out of the way. Remove the strut to knuckle nuts and bolts, tapping the bolts out with a hammer if necessary. Separate the steering knuckle from the strut flange, then pull the outer drive axle joint out of the hub. To loosen the drive axle from the hub spleens, tap the end of the drive axle with a soft-faced hammer. If the drive axle is stuck in the hub and the spleens and won't move, it may be necessary to push it from the hub with a puller. Rest the outer joint carefully on the control arm or tie it up if necessary. Also make sure that the steering knuckle doesn't fall too far outwards, as this may damage the brake hose or ABS wiring. Position a large pry bar against the inner drive axle joint and carefully pry the joint out of the transaxle side gear. Guide the drive axle carefully out of the fender well. Note that if the old drive axle is being reinstalled, a new retaining circlip is recommended to replace the old one. Inspect the transaxle oil seal, confirming that it is in satisfactory condition. With multipurpose grease pre-applied to the drive axle inner spleens, carefully guide the drive axle into the fender well and insert the inner spleens securely into the transaxle. It will be easiest to install the drive axle into the transaxle by making sure the gap in the retaining circlip is facing down when inserting. To make sure the circlip is properly seated in the gear groove, attempt to pull the drive axle out of the transaxle by hand. If the circlip is properly seated, the inner joint will not move out. Insert the outer drive axle spleens into the hub assembly, then join the steering knuckle with the strut flange, align the bolt holes, and insert the flange bolts. Screw on the large flange nuts, then tighten the strut to knuckle nuts to the specified torque setting. Connect the tie rod end ball stud to the steering knuckle, noting how the heat shield is oriented. Install the nut and tighten it to the specified torque setting. Attach the wheel speed sensor wiring harness to the noted bracket slots. Install the washer and screw on the drive axle hub nut. Tighten the nut to the specified torque setting, using the same counter-rotating method to prevent the hub from turning. Install the hub nut lock and a new cotter pin. Bend the ends of the cotter pin over completely. Install the front wheel and lug nuts. Lower the car to the ground and tighten the wheel lug nuts to the specified torque setting. Install the wheel trim cover. Unblock the wheels.